सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणाम् अपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। So Hari Om, salutations to all. Here in the 56th one, so we are actually seeing a series of verses which speak about Brahman. Tad Brahmeti avadharayet. The verses end with that line. So this is a set of verses from 54 onwards. End with this line. Tad Brahmeti avadharayet. Know that to be Brahman. So in that, the 56th one we saw, Tirya Gurdhvam Adhapurnam Satchidanandam Advayam Anantam Nityam Ekam Yat Tad Brahmeti avadharayet. That Brahman which is all pervasive, which fills up, down, all the directions, which is non-dual, which is infinite, which is eternal, and which is one, know that to be Supreme Brahman, and that Brahman is our true self. Now, in Vedanta, we know that Brahman or the self is infinite. So that infinite self cannot be defined. It can be only indicated. So the pointers of that self or pointers of Brahman, these pointers are of three types. So first type of pointer, we have done this in Atmabodha also, when the definition of Atma was explained. At that time, this came up. That one type of pointer is called Tatastha Lakshana, where we use something else to point out Brahman. Like sometimes when we want to tell people, landmark. So we say, you come to such and such place, opposite this hall is my house. So using that hall, we indicate the home. Same way, using the creation, when we say that Brahman is the substratum of the creation rises, stays and falls in that Brahman. That is called the supreme reality, it is infinite reality. So using the creation, one is pointing to the substratum, that is called Tatastha Lakshana. So it is like an indirect method of pointing. Then there comes the second type of category where we say the direct pointers. So when we say Brahman is Satchidananda, like the earlier verse spoke about Satchidananda, Ananta, Advaya, these are direct pointers. That Brahman is infinite, Brahman is existent, Brahman is consciousness, Brahman is bliss. So these are direct pointers, not using anything else. Why these different pointers are required? Because sometimes we have a lot of body identification and we think the world is real. So to understand direct pointers, we may not be ready completely. So the indirect pointers are used so that we develop a certain detachment, a certain qualification of subtlety of the mind. So when we say Brahman is the Sakshi of the three states, so using the three states, we indicate Brahman. So our attachment to the three states, waking, dream, deep sleep, that reduces and we start living more as a witness, as a Sakshi. So for that, the Tatastha Lakshana is used. If the mind is subtle enough and is able to comprehend, then direct pointer also can be used, that Brahman is Satchidanand. So one can contemplate on Satchidanand. Then comes the third category, which is called Atadvyavritti Lakshana, which is in the form of negation. What Brahman is not. So the shloka that we did some time back, on which we had done a contemplation session also, Nirguno, Nishkriyo, Nityo, Nirvikaro, Niranjanaha. That shloka is negating what Brahman is not. Nirvikara, it is not changing, so it is changeless. Nirakara, it does not have a form. Nirguna, it has no qualities. So these are called pointers which are negating what Brahman is not. So if we negate all the finite concepts with which we define ourselves, what remains is the infinite. So three types of pointers are there to realize Brahman. This 57th shloka speaks about the third type of pointer, Atadvyavritti Lakshana. So he says, Atadvyavritti Rupena Vedantair Lakshyate Dvayam Akhandanandamekam Yat Tad Brahmetyavadharayet. Atadvyavritti Rupena, by negating whatever Brahman is not, which means basically everything. All name, form, quality, anything that is finite has to be negated. Anything that is changing is negated. So all that is tangible, gross, and even subtle, which is finite, negate. Negate means in the mind, drop the identification that I am not this. So atadvyavritti rupena vedantahi lakshyate. Vedant indicates what? Advayam, that pure consciousness which is non-dual. Akhandanandam ekam yat. Now this is the Swarup Lakshana. It is unbroken mass of bliss, Akhanda Ananda. The Ananda that we experience is Khanda Ananda. It is finite, it is temporary. It comes and goes. Even when it comes, we are not fully able to enjoy that. See, that is the strange part. If we observe how our pursuit of pleasure is very amazing. The amount of effort that we put to gain that pleasure is so much more than the actual enjoyment of it. How contradictory is that? We will dream about it, we will visualize it, we will keep imagining about it, and then we actually, each one must have made their list by now that when this COVID is over, where all I'm going to travel. So if I can't go right now, at least I can imagine. So one imagines. And many times one may imagine, after this COVID is over, I'm first going to Kedarnath, that Shivji's grace I need because, he protected me and this and that, and all one imagines everything. And then when COVID is over, first one goes where? Switzerland. Anyway, one may go to Kedarnath also. I'm not saying no, but the point is, one imagines from now. that when this is over, then I will do this, then I will do that, this is how I will enjoy, and this is where I will do. All imagination. And then when it is over, one strives also, and then one puts effort, one books the ticket, and one plans the holiday and everything. And finally, when one goes there, sitting in Kedarnath, what is one thinking? I don't know what my son is doing at home. All this effort to reach Kedarnath, finally, 1 minute I may be in front of Bhagwan. That also, if I have VIP darshan, then from the side they may take me and I have one whole minute. Otherwise, I am standing in front and people pushing, 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 gone. You can apply this to anything. Some sense object, something I want to eat, some tasty food I want to eat, sizzler I want to eat. Not homemade, outside wala sizzler. So now if that sizzler I want to eat, now I may dream about it, plan about it, then finally travel, go to that place also. And when I'm eating sizzler, what am I actually doing? Maybe first bite I am with that, so I feel blissful. After that, I am talking around with people and that sizzler is getting cold. Somehow I am managing to eat, dump it in my body. Over. Look at the amount of enjoyment, the time spent in actually enjoying, and the enjoyment derived out of it, which is temporary, is so less. Complete contrast is Akhandanandam Ekam. So many great masters have said the amount of effort that we put to run behind samsara, if 1/10 of that effort we put to realize the self, our state of bliss will be infinite. 100% effort we put and get some 1 or 2% pleasure. But 10% of effort I may put, I will get 100% of. It can't be called 100%, it is infinite. That is the state of Brahman, Akhandanandam, where having experienced that, there is no break in that. Our pleasure breaks, it diminishes, again it leaves a craving. So he says, Brahman is that. Vedanta tells us, Arey, Akhandananda is your nature. Why are you running, begging about temporary pleasure? And that also one is not enjoying properly. That also somebody has to teach us, please enjoy mindfully. So mindful eating, mindful talking, mindful walking, mindful enjoyment. Bring the mind where the hands are and enjoy. Because the beautiful thing about enjoyment is this. If I am fully in the moment and I enjoy it thoroughly, it will not leave any craving. That thing will be fulfilled. One doesn't need. But if I am not in that moment, I just experience it a little bit and then my mind goes away to something else around me or to some other, thought which I'm preoccupied with, then it leaves a craving. Then again I want it. So the idea here is, our nature is that pure consciousness which is absolute bliss, Akhandanandam, Ekam, is one, supreme. Tad Brahmet Yavadharayet. Know that to be Brahman. See, when we enjoy, so this Akhandanandam Ekam can be connected very nicely. One is the direct, so each one is a separate pointer of Brahman. In Brahman, there are no dualities, so it is one, Ekam. And its nature is absolute bliss. So these are two independent pointers. But if we want to connect it also, we can connect it nicely. That when we become one, then we experience Akhandananda. As of now, we are not one, we are many. We identify with the body, with the mind, with the intellect, with so many objects, with so many people. So we are many, many, many. If we withdraw all the attention from all this and we come to one self, then the nature of the self is Akhandananda, one will experience. Another way to understand this is, if I become fully one with the enjoyment, then also I experience deep sense of happiness. Because when we lose ourselves in that, then we experience bliss. That's why, when people enjoy something, why do they close their eyes? Have you thought any time? Why do they close their eyes? So you eat ice cream. Why can't you say, open the eyes and just say? Most of the time we will close the eyes. Why? Because one experiences so much happiness within. One has forgotten everything else around, including body, everything. One is just one with that enjoyment, full. Even Darshana Bhagwan, when we go in front of the Lord, we will see the Murti of the Lord and then do what? Close the eyes. Because we want to experience in the heart. We want to capture that in our heart. Where we forget ourselves, we become one with that. So whenever we become one fully, we lose ourselves, we forget ourselves, we forget things around. Then we experience deep level of happiness. So Akhandanandam ekam yat tad brahmet avadharayet. Know that to be Brahman. See, all these pointers of Brahman are such that they must make us want to experience Brahman. What is that state? I want to experience that. Because it is my true self. It is not something outside. And how strange is that? It is my true self and I am not experiencing, and then I am running behind things out there. And so much of sorrow, difficulties, conflicts, problems. Not that I should not do anything in the world outside, but sometime when the feeling is there that I want to know this Brahman, that becomes my purpose. That in and through whatever I am doing, I want to purify my mind to experience Akhandanandam ekam yat. Then that is the purpose of this whole thing. So continuing that, what he was said earlier now is elaborated. This Akhandananda is being elaborated of Brahman in this 58th verse. Akhandananda rupasya tasya nandalavaashritaha brahmadyastaratam yena bhavantyanandino khilaha. So what he says here, Akhandananda rupasya, of the infinite bliss, Ananda Lavashritaha, one tiny drop of that infinite bliss, on that who survives? Brahmadyaha Taratamyena. From Brahmaji onwards to all the devatas and human beings survive only on one drop of bliss of that Akhandananda. Just imagine the highest bliss. This actually refers to Taittiriya Upanishad in the Bhrigu this Ananda Mimamsa is given. That what is the bliss of Brahman? To make a person understand, because many people want to know, what will I experience after realization? That's a question naturally everybody will have. Okay, now I realize the truth. Now what? What will I gain? What will be my experience? If I know that, then I may consider seeking that. If it appeals to me, So the Upanishads gave that what is the bliss that is experienced. So I'm just going to share that part here. What happens is, in this, the hierarchy of bliss is given. And this hierarchy of bliss is very, very inspiring to understand finally that what is this bliss that we are missing out on. This nature of Brahman is very, very nice. So it says here that consider a human being, Yuva, who is young person. Yuva Syat, Sadhu, one who is good-natured person. Sadhu, it doesn't mean only a sadhu or a sannyasi. Sadhu word means good. So consider a youth who is good, and who is cultured. Yuva syat sadhu yuva adhyayakah, who is very studious. Whatever that person takes up, does it very sincerely. Adhyayakah, sadhu yuva adhyayaka. Ashishta, very cultured. Ashishto balishta is extremely strong. He's not some weakling. Balishta. Then Ashishto, Dridishto, Balishta. And that person has all the resources available to that person. Tasyayam Prithvi Sarva Vittasya Purnasya. Sorry, it's not in the Brahma Bhrigu Valli, it's in the Brahmananda Valli, second Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad. So consider a youth who is strong, who is cultured, who is good natured, who is studious, determined, and all resources of the earth are available to that person. Meaning that person can achieve anything that person wants. What will be the happiness of that person? So he says, Sa eko manusha anandaha. That is one unit of happiness. Now to be that person itself is rare. Young, cultured, studious, all those things are not easy. But this is like a hypothesis that if there be such a youngster, then all the desires of that youngster can be fulfilled. What will be the happiness of that young person? Is one unit of happiness. Sa eko manusha ananda. Then he says, 100 times more than the happiness of that person is the happiness of a Manushya Gandharva. So now he gives, this is the word Taratamya in this Atmabodha shloka is saying this now. The hierarchy of happiness, starting from the simplest to the highest, it will go now. So human happiness is one unit of a young person who can fulfill all the desires, who is young, who is cultured, who is pure in mind, who is very studious. 100 times happiness of that young person is the happiness of a Manushya Gandharva. Meaning when the person drops a body and takes up this subtle form or divine form of a Manushya Gandharva. 100 times the happiness of that Manushya Gandharva is the happiness of a Deva Gandharva. 100 times the happiness of Deva Gandharva is the happiness of the Pitrus. Imagine from youngster to Manushya Gandharva to Deva Gandharva to the Pitrus. Already it is 100, 100, 100. 100 times, 100 times, 100 times, it keeps multiplying. 100 times the happiness of the Pitrus is the happiness of a Ajanaja Deva. 100 times the happiness of Ajanaja Deva is a Karmaja Deva. 100 times the happiness of Karmaja Deva is happiness of a Deva. 100 times the happiness of a Deva is the happiness of Indra, the king of Devatas. So now imagine human being, one unit. 100 times is Manushya Gandharva, then Deva Gandharva, then Ajanaja Deva, then Karmaja Deva, then Indra. So already we have 7 levels. Each level is 100 times more than the previous level. 100 times more than Indra is Brihaspati, the guru of Indra. And 100 times Brihaspati's Ananda is the Prajapati, is the creator who takes forward this whole creation. 100 times the happiness of the Prajapati is the happiness of Prajapati is a Brahmaji. So this bliss of Brahmaji is the highest. This bliss of Brahmaji is only one drop in the ocean of bliss that this person experiences. who is realizing the Supreme Self. So now if somebody asks you, why do you want to realize the Self? You can say, I want to realize the infinite Self, on whose one drop depends even the Creator. This is called thinking big. What else is thinking big? Realizing the absolute infinite truth is thinking big. They can't be bigger than infinity. In the world, we may say, I want this many $1 billion, I want Fortune 500 company, I want this many, whatever, this much sales has to happen, and this many companies I must have, this many branches I must have, which is fine. It has its own place. But what is realization? The bliss of realization is this Akhandananda. On one drop of that, Brahmaji survives. What to talk about the rest of the people? So that's what this shloka says. Brahmadhyas taratamyena bhavanti anandino akhilaha. And that one drop of bliss also Brahmaji is not experiencing fully. Brahmaji is sharing with the rest of these people. So how much will Brahmaji get? So imagine now, what do we want? Do we want a share of the bliss? Imagine in one drop, how many shares one has to do? And what Vedanta is saying, you are that ocean of bliss. No, we are very happy with the shares, Swamiji. All these verses are actually telling us, come on, seek that Brahman. Tad Brahmeti avadharayet. Know that Brahman, that is your true self. One small portion, one small drop of that is being shared by everybody from Brahmaji onwards to all the jivas on the earth. So what Anand we get? Chocolate Anand, movie Anand, samosa Anand, pav bhaji Anand is what? Is can't describe also. Infinitesimal, smallest part of an infinitesimal. And in that we are getting excited. Think about that. Excitement should be to know that Brahman, how wonderful is that, that Brahman is my true nature. Then that is called excitement. When people say we should live a full life, what is it called? King size. Live life king size. If you are to live life king size, become the king. Who is Brahman? Brahman is the main king. Everybody else is chota kings, including Brahmaji also. This is depicted in Bhagavatam and other Puranas, saying what? That Bhagavan Narayana is the supreme reality, out of whom come infinite worlds, Ananta Koti Brahmandas. Every Brahmanda has one Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So that infinite Brahman is the Narayana. So there it is personified. Here it is beyond all descriptions, infinite reality. So he says, Akhandananda Rupasya Tasya Ananda Lava Ashritaha. One small drop of this bliss, Brahmaji, of one Brahmanda. Like that, there are so many Brahmajis. Each of them are experiencing just a drop. And the ocean of bliss never gets dried, never becomes less. So, Ananda Lavashritaha Brahmadhyas Taratamyena Bhavanti Anandino Akhilaha. So now, two verses have said about this. Now, moving ahead, 59th verse, he says, Tadyuktam Akhilam Vastu Vyavaharastadhanvitaha Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Kshire Sarpirivakhile. So he says here, Tadyuktam Akhilam Vastu. All the things in this world are pervaded by that Supreme Brahman. Tadyuktam Akhilam Vastu. Vyavaharastadhanvitaha. All actions also are possible by that Brahman only. Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma. Hence Brahman is all pervasive. How? Kshire Sarpirivakhile. Just like butter pervades the milk. Shire in milk, sarpi. Sarpi means butter. Now this is a very nice analogy. Where is the butter in the milk? It is all pervasive. Can we see it? No. Does it mean butter is not there? Of course it is there, but we are not seeing it. Same way, where is God? All pervasive. Are we seeing? No. Does it mean God is not there? No. So, people's logic is that or not? There is no God. Why? Because I can't see. Show me God. I can show, but you should be ready to see. The problem is that when he says here, tadyuktam akhilam vastu, God is not something that is intangible or abstract concept or inexperienceable. Every single moment I'm experiencing God alone, each of us. There is no doubt in that. How? In our heart we experience as aham, aham, aham. The very aham sphurana in the heart, that I am, that is Bhagavan. Ramana Maharshi was asked, what is God? He says, I am is God. That feeling of I am is God. And that feeling of I am is there in everybody's heart. It may be even a plant or an animal. In all of their heart there will be I am. That's why he says, tadyuktam akhilam vastu. This whole universe is pervaded. But what about inert things? In that also, Brahman manifests as isness, asti. In us it manifests as asmi, I am. So I exist and I am aware of that existence as I am. In inert things, it is only existence. The awareness of that existence is not there. Why? Because it doesn't have a mind. If you introduce a mind, it will also start feeling the awareness of its existence. So it is not some intangible thing. If we want to experience God, there are two ways to experience. One is go deep into the silence of the heart and realize aham, aham, aham. Drop all the identifications and realize aham, your I. That is God. Second way is look in the world outside. Every single form is a form of the Lord only. Because cause pervades the entire effect. Like the mud pot, the pitcher, the cup, the saucer is all expression of the mud only. Every single wave is an expression of the water in the ocean. So when I look inside also is God, when I look outside also is God only. That's why he says tadvastu, tadyuktam akhilam vastu. So where is the question of saying that there is no God? Of course there is God. Inside, outside, whatever we are looking is God alone, nothing else but God. Only some name and form we get attached to, so we think it is some name and form and God is not there. Without God, this won't exist. That's why the next line says, Vyavaharas tad anvitaha. Actions are also possible because of God. Why? Because it is the presence of consciousness that enlivens this body, mind, intellect. When this mind ejects out of the body, this body no more is capable of living. It becomes dead. It will decay immediately. So the presence of the divine is there in everything, in everyone. Just the clarity is required and then the purity is required. See, informative knowledge is only a certain level. It can help. What is necessary, this shloka is telling us is, just like I can't see the butter in the milk. But what to do then? The example is beautiful because though the butter is all pervasive, I still can't see. Though God is all pervasive in the world, within me, outside me, everywhere is God alone. Still I can't see. Why? Because the process of churning has not happened. So that milk has to be, that whole process one has to do to churn the butter out of that milk. And so when we do that, then the unmanifest butter which was there will manifest. In the same way, what is the difference between saints and us? The difference is that they have churned their mind, they have done the sadhana, God has become manifest. We are either now, we have not either churned or we are churning now and then. Now that is an important factor of that analogy. If you churn for 2 minutes and then wait for another 3 hours, again churn for 2 minutes, will the butter come? It won't come. So sometimes we get very enthusiastic and we take some pledge and we say, Guru Purnima, so I took a pledge that, every day I will do japa for 20 minutes minimum, and I started doing Swamiji and it was very good. But, after 3 days, these rains and monsoon is so amazing. I feel that, I should just read a novel, and, I took up a book and I just couldn't put it down. And in the monsoon, the rain, and then chai, and then pakoda, and then the book. Wow. Anyway, you said Bhagwan is everywhere. So I found Bhagwan in the novel. Done. Sadhana goes out. Then suddenly after some time, again I realize some life gives some 1 or 2 kicks. Again I say, oh no, I need to sit and quieten down my mind. I'm getting very stressed. So it's like that churning. 2 minutes churn, another 3 hours you wait, another 2 minutes one churns. Butter can't come like that. Continuously one has to churn properly. Then it will come. So this Kshire Sarpiriva Khire is a beautiful analogy to say that if we do the sadhana, God is manifest here and now. He is not unmanifest. He is unmanifest to us because we are identified with the body. The moment we do sadhana to go beyond body, mind, intellect, what will happen? Realization. Instant. Honestly, if we think about that, the process that is involved in taking butter out of milk, the time that it takes to take butter out of milk is actually much more than the time it takes to realize the self. Somebody asked Raman Maharshi, how much time does it take to realize the self? He said, not even the time taken by you to blink your eye. In the time lesser than that, you will realize the self. Janak Maharaj, how did he realize the self, Amazing. He was climbing a horse. He put 1 foot in the stirrup, and by the time he crosses over and puts the other foot in the second one, while doing that, he realized the self. So really speaking, the time taken to realize is very small, very less, insignificant. But it takes lifetimes of preparation for it. Because of the false identification. Otherwise, realization is how much time it takes to wake up. We wake up like this. But how much time it takes to get up from the bed? Oh, that takes long time, Swamiji. So it is like that. Preparation takes a long time for us. But waking up is very fast because it's our true self. So the analogy has different shades. One is to say that one should do sadhana to realize because God is all pervasive, but still I am not seeing Him anywhere. So I must do sadhana. Then that unmanifest supreme will become manifest. Second, I must do the sadhana consistently. It can be any sadhana. It can be japa, puja, bhajan, dhyan. Consistency in the sadhana, regularity in the sadhana, sincerity in the sadhana. These are 3 very important points. Consistency of the sadhana means if I say japa is my main sadhana, then don't give that up. You may add something else extra if you want. But every day do japa. Don't say today I feel like doing just bhajan, so I'm doing only bhajan. Tomorrow I feel like just doing japa, so I do japa. I'm a very spontaneous person, Swami. This milk will not churn into butter with that spontaneous thing, okay? it requires a proper process. You do that process, then milk will become butter. If you say, right now I feel like taking a spoon and stirring, so I take a spoon. After some time, I'll take a blender and stir. And after some time, I'll try and do, what do you call that? From one glass to another. Butter won't come. You can do, entertainment will happen. That's a very good thing. Butter won't come out. So if I'm jumping from one sadhana to the other every single day or every few days, that doesn't work. I may choose one. See, to experiment, to choose one which appeals to my heart, that there is no problem in that. So if I'm experimenting, okay, puja, and see how much my mind absorbs in that, or japa, or meditation, or bhajan, what appeals to my heart, to find that out, if I'm experimenting, no problem. But once I find it, then I have to be consistent in that, because any single sadhana is enough to take us across. We don't need too many sadhanas, too many options, too many varieties, not required. So first point I said was consistency of the sadhana. So whichever form of sadhana I choose, I must be consistent in that, not change the sadhana type. Second, regularity. Every single day I need to do it regularly. If I can fix the day, I can fix the time and place, then that is great. So three things to fix: time, place, quantity. So if we say every day 7 o'clock I must do japa, then 7 o'clock. If place you can fix, it is in my puja room, then that is also great. Anywhere, in nature, outside, sitting quietly, wherever it may be. Fix one time, one place, and quantity. So either say that it will be some 2 malas, 5 malas, 10 malas, or say that 20 minutes I will do japa. Ideal would be to fix a quantity, because this time, if we fix, the mind generally tends to wander a lot. If a mala is there, the wandering mind can be brought back. So I'm just giving example of japa. You can do that with anything. You can do with bhajan also, with puja also, with dhyan also, any such sadhana. So first is consistency of sadhana, second is regularity of sadhana, third is sincerity. Sincerely one tries to connect to Bhagwan with all one's devotion. That sincerity and devotion, when we invoke in our heart, then that sadhana becomes enjoyable. It's not boring or difficult or mechanical, no. Because one invokes bhav, one invokes love. One feels gratitude that Bhagwan has done so much and is doing every moment, Vyavaharas tadanvita. I am able to act because of Bhagwan. I am having so many things because of Bhagwan. So out of gratitude, one invokes that bhav and one builds a connection with Bhagwan. See, that feeling is most important. In sadhana, what drives the sadhana, the heart of sadhana is the bhavana, is the feeling. And to invoke the feeling is why God gets personified also. Bhagwan takes avatar also because of that. And so when we do sadhana, we should ask ourselves, where is my feeling? Because many people just think it's a technical or a mechanical process of just withdrawing the mind, or just focusing on the breathing, or just chanting the mantra. So many people use only concentration and willpower in sadhana. No doubt concentration and willpower is important in sadhana, but bhavana is much more important. If bhavana comes, concentration will happen automatically. One doesn't need to put extra effort for concentration. When we love anything, does anybody have to tell us concentrate? Somebody loves cricket. Does one have to tell, sit quietly, focus, sit in front of the TV, don't move, let your eyes be only on the sports channel, nothing, no, bhavana is important. So what is my bhav? And that is why Ishta Devata is a very beautiful aspect. Because to feel for Brahman is not very easy. What is nameless, formless, attributeless, how to feel for that? There are some people who have that, no doubt, but that temperament is very less. Feeling for Bhagavan can come easier than Brahman, because Bhagavan has a form and qualities and attributes, leelas. So the Vaishnava Sampradaya, Shaiva Sampradaya, so 6 Sampradayas are there. There's called Shanmata. Shankaracharya ji established, he streamlined so many of these different types of worship in our country into 6 main forms. So Shaiva is all the devotees of Shiva and whatever forms of Shiva. So now the Shravan month will come. For some of those people who follow this Purnimanta calendar, Shravan month has started. Those who are not following that, they follow another calendar, Amavasyanta. For them, Shravan will start after some time. So in Shravan month, on Mondays, etc., they will all do lot of Abhishek and japa and chanting and all that of Shivji. So the devotees of Shiva is Shaiva. Then Vishnu. So Krishna, Narayana, Mahavishnu, all of these are Vaishnava. Then Shakta. So all that forms of Devi. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Parvati, Chamundi, anything. All forms of Devi are Shakta. Then Ganapatya, the followers of Lord Ganesha. Then Subramanya, followers of Kartikeya Bhagavan. And Saurya, followers of Surya Devata. Surya not as Surya, but Surya as Ishvara. These are 6 main. Why? Because through this our devotion can get channelized. So if you have some other form that you are worshipping, there is no problem. Bhagavan can take any form. My bhav must be that this is the symbol of Bhagavan. And how nice it is, when we see the bhav with which people decorate. And, like if you saw in some of the temples, when COVID pandemic started off, they had put mask for Bhagavan also. People find it very funny. They say, what is this? They put mask for Bhagavan. Because they don't understand that for the devotee, Bhagavan is a personification. He is there. So Bhagavan, they will wake up the Lord, they will give food to the Lord, they will bathe the Lord, they will decorate the Lord, everything. In winter, they will give warm clothes. In summer, they will have light clothes. All those things are there. It is not some primitive stuff. It is a very deep science. A lot of psychology involved in that. Connection involved. Right now this Ashadhi Shukla Ekadashi went. So the Varkari Sampradaya, they walk and they go to Pandharpur. And you should see how they do it. It is most amazing. They carry the palki. And they will have flag also. And they will talk to Vitthal. You stand here, I am coming. I will go bring breakfast. You stand here. Don't go anywhere. They will talk to Bhagavan like that. One nice picture I just saw is, it is raining. So one small girl is holding an umbrella on Vitthal. Vithal's Murti there. She's holding an umbrella because it's raining. So she's waiting. Bhagavan is getting wet, holding. That's called bhav. Once a person develops bhav for Bhagavan, that is enough to take that person across. Nothing more is required. Devotion will bring surrender. So our sadhana, we should ask ourselves, what sadhana I am doing? Is there a bhavana behind that? Even if one is doing meditation on the self, there has to be a bhavana. So the definition of bhakti by Shankaracharya ji in Vivek Chudamani is this. What is the definition? Swaswarupanu bhakti rityabhidhiyate. The intensity with which one is seeking the self, that feeling is called bhakti. So it is not that a Vedantic student doesn't require bhakti. Bhakti is required for Nirguna also, bhakti is required for Sagun also. Both. So this is the way to do the sadhana. So three things we spoke: consistency of the type of sadhana which I have chosen, then regularity and sincerity and invoking devotion. Then this butter will come out. This milk will become butter. Milk will, the butter can be churned out. And the beautiful aspect of this is what, in the milk, if a little bit impurity goes in the milk, what happens? Milk will get spoiled. If little water is put in the milk, what happens? Milk will become diluted. But little impurity comes on the butter, nothing happens to butter. Water you put in that, butter will float in that. Butter will not get diluted because of that water. So the mind of that person becomes like that. One which is become one with the Lord. This whole universe, there may be so many other things happening in this universe, and the saints and sages many times are, ridiculed, condemned, criticized, even crucified, killed, but doesn't affect them. Why? Because now the job is done. Butter has come out of the milk. One has experienced that supreme bliss, oneness. So that is this 59th verse. And then one more verse. Anananvasthulamahrasvam adirghamajam avyayam arupa guna varnakhyam tadbrahmetyavadharaye. So if you notice, this one shloka in between, these two shlokas in between did not have the last line tadbrahmetyavadharaye. Because this Akhandananda, which was described in this earlier verse 57, that was elaborated in 58, and how to experience that Akhandananda sadhana was given in 59. So these two don't have that tadbrahmetyavadharaye. Again we come back to that tadbrahmetyavadharaye in the 60, 61, those two verses. So now what does it say here? These are pointers of Brahman again. So anu, that which is neither very small. Anu means small. You see, this word anu is also very amazing, because this word anu means atom, and paramanu means subatomic particle. So this Kanada Rishi, Kanada Rishi is the founder of this Vaisheshika school of philosophy. So Kanada Rishi is the one who spoke about this Anu first. We read about Niels Bohr's model of atom and other people's models of atom in chemistry when we learn. Much before that, in our country, people have known about Anu, Paramanu, all that. Atom, and we learned that atom is invisible, indivisible, but these people have said the atom has subatomic particles also, which we came to know later. So Anu means the smallest, because atom is the building block. That which is not smallest. Anu. Asthulam. It is not gross. Ahraswam. Not long. Meaning it is neither short, nor gross, nor long. Sorry, Raswa is short and Dirgha is long. Ahraswam is short. Dirgha is long. So Adirgham means not long. So neither small or subtle, nor sthula, gross, neither short, ahrasvam, nor long, adirgham. What is it? Ajam, it is unborn. Avyayam, changeless. Arupa, doesn't have any form. So the A has to be connected to the other also. There is no Rupa for it, there is no Guna for it, and there is no qualities, temperaments, Varna. Varna literally means color. So Varna Vyavastha when we have, that is very wrongly translated as caste system, because it is not caste system. It is called Varna Vyavastha. Varna Vyavastha means that which is the division which is based on the color of the human mind, not based on birth of the body. The color of the human mind, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So predominantly Sattvic person is called Brahmana. Sattva with a more of Rajas is called Kshatriya. A lot of Rajas with more Sattva and less Tamas is called Vaishya. And more Tamas than Rajas and minimum Sattva is called Shudra. So the Varna Vyavastha is not a psychologically oppressive system of caste which is based on birth. No. It is a beautiful system to identify the temperament of the individual, and then they should choose a profession according to that, and they should dedicate that to the Lord. You see, for us in our culture, everything is to help us to connect to the divine and realize the truth. Now people don't understand that only. And those who want to make us feel low, they put all this into our head. You know, caste system is a blot on Hindu culture. Caste system is not a blot. Varna Vyavastha is most beautiful. What is the problem is exploitation because of human need for control and greed. That is a problem. Which has spoiled everything. Na? Education also is spoiled, medicine is spoiled, law is spoiled, everything is spoiled because of the greed of human being. The problem is not in the system there. It is the greed of human being which spoils all this. Then exploitation happens. So Varna Vyavastha is the most beautiful. So when you see the 18th chapter of the Gita also, it comes there. Sve sve karmani abhirataha samsiddhim labhate narah. Each one acting according to their temperament in the appropriate profession that they are meant for, they will find so much of joy in that, and when they dedicate that to the Supreme, they realize. So it is not said that only Brahmin will realize, or Brahmin has the, is the highest of all the castes. There is no such thing given in the Varna Vyavastha. That is all cooked up quite a bit later, and then people have also exploited it. Here what is the indication? Avarnam, because Brahman is beyond the mind, so his Varna Vyavastha applies to the qualities of the mind, not to Brahman. So avarnam, arupam, agunam, avarnakhyam, tad brahmetyava dharayet. Know that to be Brahman. So these are all the pointers which negate that Brahman is not gross nor subtle. Because it's gross and subtle depending on size, qualities, properties, depend on the finite, for the finite things it is. Long and short is the measurement in space. How long it is, how short it is. Brahman is the originator of space also. So Brahman is not affected by any of these. And what does this mean? We think of ourselves as gross or subtle. We think of ourselves as tall or short, or thin or fat. Those are qualities, properties of matter, of the body, of the mind, of the intellect. That is not the nature of Brahman. And it has no form. See this ananva sthulam ahrasvam is a mantra actually of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that has been lifted and put here. So the Upanishadic mantra is being given as a reference here to say that Upanishad also describes Brahman in this way. So arupa, aguna, avarnakhyam. So when we have attachment to the body, rupa, Then we feel body is becoming old, I'm becoming old. You know, the body has some pimple, body gets some white hair, then I'm feeling all those things. But Brahman is beyond all that. And that is my true self. How many bodies one has already taken and discarded also. This one also is there. It will grow old, it will go. But who am I? I am not this body. Arupam. Agunam. These gunas come and go. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. At some point Sattva rises, some point Rajas rises, some point Tamas rises. Each one, the play of gunas happens within us and the world outside also. So what is the wise person's attitude? The Gita says, Guna guneshu vartante iti matva na shajjate. The mind is a play of three gunas. The world outside also is a play of three gunas. So the guna here is interacting with the guna outside. Who am I? I am the sakshi of it. So one doesn't get attached to the thoughts. Nisargadatta Maharaj said a very nice line. You know what he said? Of course, he said from a very high standpoint. So he said, you don't need to control thought. Just stop being involved in them. Because thoughts are not a problem. They come, they will go. We get involved in it, then we encourage it, we strengthen it. The wise person's attitude is what? They come, they go. If certain thoughts I have to sustain, I may sustain. Whether it is for sadhana or any such thing, my duty, I may sustain those thoughts. But one part of the mind will always be focused on the witness, that I am a witness playing this role at this moment. But I am not this role. So, arupam, agunam, avarnam. Why should one feel superior or inferior because of any varna? I am beyond all varnas. These varnas, they depend on the quality of the mind. So, the beautiful aspect of the Varna Vyavastha is that a Shudra can also become a Brahmana. If that Shudra creates that much of Sattva, that person becomes Brahmana. And our culture explains that or not. So many examples of people who have transformed. A Kshatriya, by Vishwamitra, was Kaushik Raja before. He was a Kshatriya. And then he transformed into a Brahmana. Ratnakar was a Shudra. He transformed into Brahmana. So, Varna Vyavastha is not some watertight compartment that you are born in this caste, so you will live and die in this caste only, and it is all by birth, and so the lower caste and the upper caste, all that is not the terminology of the Veda or the scriptures. There is no upper and lower. There is only Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Where is the translation of upper and lower came from? From where? That human being has put inside. Because they want to feel superior or they want to exploit others. So then human being has put. If you actually open the Shastra, nowhere in the Shastra it is said Brahmana is upper caste and Shudra is a lower caste. It is not there. If somebody who is not acting according to their temperament does something like a Shudra takes up a work of a Brahmana, that person will suffer. And if the society doesn't follow Varna Vyavastha and everybody does whatever they feel like doing, that society will collapse. So systems are set in place to find out what is your temperament, which today we do or not, aptitude tests and all that people do before they take admission into any particular course. They will first do aptitude test, go to a counselor, ask them, which are the best possibilities for me, and then choose accordingly. So it was like that. Anyway, that is dependent on the mind. The gunas, based on that is the varna. Brahman is beyond all, meaning I am beyond all these. Tad brahmeti avadharayet. So for today we will stop here. Anything you want to ask, share, you are welcome.
Swamiji,
Haji.
Is it okay to give up one form of sadhana and do another form of sadhana if one is experiencing more peace or a deeper connect?
Yes, no problem. But as I said, be steady in that. That's all. There's no problem
But
in changing.
even though you've been doing the other sadhana for years, and somehow it's not easy to make that transition, though you feel that that other form of sadhana is probably giving you more peace.
Yes. So if you are very clear about that, ki the other form of sadhana is giving more peace, and this one maybe for years I've done, but it is not. Agreed that the mind may feel a certain hesitation in giving it up, but there is nothing wrong in doing that. One should do.
Okay. Thank you.
Swamiji,
Haji.
this Varnam Vyavastha I didn't know about. Something very new for me, very nice. And can one like how you said, like, you know your aptitude. So can one really know like what is my nature more? I mean, we all want to be ideally sattvic and going to more rajasic and very little tamasic. So that's what we all know ideally. But how do you know what is your original, or what you can progress towards?
So for that, the understanding of the three gunas is important, that I should know properly what is sattva guna, what is rajo guna, what is tamo guna. And I should ask some questions to myself also, and I should introspect and also find out what is my predominant temperament through the day. So self-observation will help, and also what type of pursuits attract me, that also will show.
Oh, nice.
So those things will help me to realize. But first thing I have to study. So 14th chapter of the Gita and the 18th chapter of the Gita. So 14th chapter gives the gunas in its qualitative form, and the 17th and 18th chapter give the application of that. So sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic food. Sattvic, tapas, rajasic tapas, tamasic tapas. Sattvic happiness, rajasic happiness, tamasic happiness. So when we study these things, then we can observe that, what is my mind attracted to? If my mind is attracted to, so we have to make those categories, saying in food, what is my mind really tempted to most of the time. Then note down that. In the company of people that I keep, in the type of work that I'm doing, in the quality of my sadhana that I'm doing. That can I sit down and do and withdraw, or I need to be moving. Like some people can do japa better if they are walking. Otherwise they sit and sleep. So for all this, we have to find out which guna I am responding to. And once you make that chart, then one will know predominantly, okay, which is my temperament. So if you see Swami Chinmayananda's commentary, actually, there are individual chapter commentaries. One is a whole book, Holy Gita, but these individual chapters are much more detailed. So in those individual chapters, in the 18th chapter, if you see, Swamiji has actually given charts for each part. 3 types of happiness, 3 types of fortitude, 3 types of knowledge, 3 types of karta, 3 types of karma. He's given charts. For each of those charts, I have to find out. And he used to actually tell people that you make your chart now. Based on this, you make your chart and then you identify. And this chart can change also. Because as we evolve, our preferences will change also. So that you can do that if you like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Swamiji,
Haji.
yeah, you mentioned about this Shravan Maina, which it is starting for us after a fortnight.
Yeah.
But it has started. So little bit if you can help me understand, because my domestic staff is from Bihar and Rajasthan. And just yesterday I was having an argument with them that they were saying it's already started, And according to me, starting after a fortnight.
Yeah.
And I must say that I enjoyed your Guru Purnima Pravachan, the one which you did for the kids who are age 8 to 12. And I must admit, they had more knowledge than me, those little children who were answering your questions about the 12 months in the calendar.
Yeah.
Even I didn't know their names.
Yeah.
And you spoke so well about Swami Chinmayanand's Guruji is Swami Tapovan, na?
Tapovanam, yeah.
And how fond he was of nature, the
Yeah.
trees, forests,
Yeah.
and how he referred to the rivers as the liquid God. God in liquid form is the river. So
Yeah.
very nicely explained. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. So nice that you enjoyed it. So there are two calendars in our country. When we follow lunar calendar, see, there are different types of calendars. I'm talking about two lunar calendars because there is solar calendar, there is solar, what is that? Solar and lunar combined calendar, and then there's a lunar calendar. So this lunar calendar, when we follow, most of the time we follow lunar calendar properly. So this lunar calendar, one calendar which starts with a Purnima, so the month will start, the first tithi of the month will start after Purnima. So the people, like what you said, people of Bihar, they follow that calendar. So for them, so the Guru Purnima just went. So when that Guru Purnima gets over, then their month will start. So for them, this Shravan started after that Sunday. But for us, it will start after 15 days. Why? Because for us, the first tithi will start after the ending of the Krishna Paksha, which is Amavasya. So Amavasya Anta and Purnima Anta. These are two types of endings. And so you will find that 15 days gap which comes because of that. And so some of us follow this ending, the Purnima, the Amavasya ending. So we will wait. After Purnima, Guru Purnima, 15 days, then Amavasya will come, then the next month will start. So that's why there will be a gap. So last year what happened was, so when we were marking Shravan dates, to plan the programs, in South Bombay, when they took up, not South Bombay, here in Juhu, when they gave the dates, the person who was giving me the dates was actually following the calendar of Purnimanta. So the person gave me the dates much before. I marked it. Then the team in South Bombay, they came back to me with different dates. Then I realized, because by then I had printed all the announcements and everything and circulated to everyone. Then they realized and they showed and they said, Swamiji, these dates are different. I said, oh God, this is the difference of the calendar, and we have, I didn't look into which calendar who is following. I thought everybody here in the mission at least is following the Amavasyanta calendar. So I said, doesn't matter. We did sadhana for all the Mondays of both these calendars. So Purnimanta, after that it started, and by the time Shravan got over for Amavasyanta, all the Mondays we did some sadhana or the other. I said, kya farak padta hai? Extra name of the Lord only we are going to take. We'll get extra punya. Chalo, sit and do it. So it's like that.
Swamiji, you said no that all these devotees, they consider God as a human being, and so they will put a mask or so I appreciate, I have all respect for those emotions, but if you know that that person is a God, then why will we be affected by a simple virus or rain or cold or heat or anything? Okay, you keep him with you to keep telling yourself that God is with you. That personification part I understand, but this personification, so it will sound very controversial if I say this, but we bathe the God in all seva, the concept of seva. I have done it with my mother and grandmother, but I never really understand the meaning, because God is clean. What are we? Who are we to clean God? Or who are we to do anything for God? Really?
See, intellectually it is true, there is no doubt. And the fact in that sense is that it is not that God who requires any of that. What is required, as I said, is we need to be able to connect to the Lord, and we must have a bhavana. Because we think of ourselves as a form. To reduce our identification of the form, the mind must be given a different altar to think more of form of Bhagavan. So if I was thinking more about myself and my beauty and my decoration and my makeup and my lipstick and my this and my that, now I am thinking, which form Bhagavan, which clothes Bhagavan needs, what type of songs I have to sing for Bhagavan, what type of food Bhagavan will want. So now my entire attention has shifted from I to Bhagavan. So it is not that Bhagavan needs it. It is I who need it. It is for me that I am able to do this so that my mind is filled with only the thoughts of the Lord. And in that process, I forget the small I. Because how many people will be able to sit quietly and negate and meditate saying, I am not this Anu, I am not this long, I am not this short. Try doing that, it's very difficult. And whole day to live in that attitude is most difficult. But whole day to live in the attitude that, okay, now did I give food to Bhagavan or not? Before I'm eating food, I give food to Bhagavan. Did I clothe Bhagavan or not? Did I put him to sleep or not? What would Bhagavan want now? Now, when that bhavana starts coming, the ego surrenders very fast. So Bhagavan doesn't need, as you said, is right. Bhagavan is immaculate. Why does Bhagavan need any wash or Bhagavan need anything? But it is the bhakta who needs. And it's for the sake of the bhakta that Bhagavan is in that form. Otherwise, Bhagavan is anyway all pervasive. Bhagavan in the form, first of all. But that all pervasiveness of the Bhagavan does not help me to surrender and does not help me to just remember that all pervasiveness of the Lord all the time, because I am stuck to my form. So the way is to shift the attention from my form to form of Bhagavan. And for that, the form must be real to me. If I think that that is only a stone, and what is the use of putting water on the stone? It's waste of water. That is, then the bhavana is not there. One is not understanding properly. If Bhagavan was there in that physical form, like if Krishna was standing right in front of you in flesh and blood, what will you do? Will you tell Krishna, you are anyway Bhagavan, I don't need to give you any food. You just be.
No.
No. Bhagavan is standing in front. What will I do? I may know. Vidur and his wife. So Vidur's wife knew, he's Krishna Bhagavan. But she still brought fruit or not. And she got so enamored and she got so enchanted by Bhagavan that she took the banana, threw away the banana and she gave the peel. And Bhagavan gave the peel also. Now why does he need to give any fruit to Bhagavan? Because he is anyway beyond all food. His body also is not like our body. His body is actually consciousness. Why consciousness needs food? So I can intellectualize like that. But when the personification is there and when I think that is real, then beautiful thing, what happens? The reality that I have given to the world, that stops. For me, Bhagavan becomes more real now, which is what we are trying to attain or not. No matter how much puja, japa we may do thinking this is a murti, for us world remains real and Bhagavan remains a murti. But the moment the personification happens of Bhagavan and I feel Bhagavan is there, Bhagavan becomes real, world becomes illusory, which is what Vedanta is trying to tell us. Not that we will stop doing our duties in the world, but the psychological attachments that we have with the world, those will reduce. Because I don't bother, I don't allow a small, even a little incident to disturb my mind. Why? Because I am in Thakurji's seva, I have to be smiling, I have to sing songs for him, I have to cook for him, I have to think about him. So how the mind learns to deal with the challenges of the world also. Invoke love, invoke devotion, and remain in that bhav full time. So that's the beautiful system of bhakti.
So is this similar to what you told me last time, that you said no, you have to know what meditation feels like or what peace feels like to detach yourself. So this is similar. I have to know what devotion feels like to God, to detach from this illusionary world, or realize that the world is illusionary slowly.
Yes. So that was the language of knowledge. This is the language of devotion.
Okay.
But it is same.
Right.
Swamiji, that's like all this Pushti Marg and all what they do, right? My
Yeah.
mother-in-law also, she's so excited. We all put mango before the season, we put it in front of God. But her to daily, or they make vastra. So you're right.
Yeah.
That's how the bhakti is.
Yeah, yeah. They will sing specific songs. Monsoon songs are different. Spring songs are different. Autumn songs are different. A beautiful tradition that is. Sometimes they become too attached to the process and forget the essence. But that happens in everything. No, for that we cannot condemn the system. The system is very beautifully thought through, and it helps so many devotees. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Swamiji.
Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.